Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Story. So we are right back in the world where we left off, putting our little gardens together next to our house, and I do think they came across quite nicely. And last time I said we are going to work on doing a bit of planning around our base, and that's still what I'd like to do. And the first thing I'd like to do as part of that planning is at least in theory, get this road extended out a little bit. And I do want to see where the road intersects with the pond. We may end up getting rid of this pond, as it's not really of any use to us anymore. But I do want to start by getting rid of this drifter fort here. And I'm going to need a new home for all of my spears, because boy do I have a lot of those hanging around. So let's go rehome our spears first and foremost. Where we're going to put them permanently, that's a really good question. But I think for now, they can just go in here. So let's do that. And I will see you guys in just a second. Okay, and while we were at it, I grabbed some pie as well. So we have that all squared away now. So I'm going to go take care of this drifter fort, and I'm also going to get rid of these trees here. We do have some saplings that are growing, and I think... Can I break these and get them? Yeah. So I'll break these. I'd like to have the full trees, but I'll break them. And then we can have some saplings we can throw into planter pots for decoration. I think that's fine. But I'm going to break these trees and break down that fort, and I'll see you guys in just a second. Okay, and just like that, our drifter fort is no more. This has been a staple of our environment for as long as I can remember now, really. So it's odd to see it gone just like that, but it is. If I break this ice, does it turn to water? Oh, I don't actually want to get wet. Let's take a look at the size of this pond and figure out what we want to do with it. I do think ultimately... Whoa, slippery. I do think ultimately I want to get rid of this pond. But I want to just take a peek at what we're actually working with first. Probably help if I did this with a shovel. It's actually a pretty good size, this pond. It's not a bad size at all. Just a little thing, but still. We'll grab our medium fertility soil, since we're rocking a good amount of that. And we'll want to break the skeletons here. But I think we can actually just break in place here. Yeah, I think we'll just break in place. So I'm going to do this, and I'll see you guys in a second. And just like that, our pond is gone. So we have this little landmark all squared away now. So let's dig out a path. And I'm just going to dig a little trench here to indicate where I'd like it to go. And dig you down here. We actually could have kept the pond. Just barely. So maybe that's something we'll want to do, is reintroduce something like that. I want to dig a good ways away, I think. And what I'm looking for is an area to put a farm and eventually a windmill. And I say eventually because while the structure may be something that we do, not soonish, but at some point, the windmill itself is just something I don't have the resources for. So that's something we're going to have to wait on, at the very least. But I think I'd like to start looking at putting our farming area kind of over here. I'm just looking at the mini-map and seeing what's around, and it seems like there's a good amount of land. I can clear this hill back if I really need to. And I, in fact, may want to clear this hill back a little bit. Why don't we mark this as the rough center of where I'm working on for the farms? And let me just get this pushed back like this. There we go. Just so I kind of have a better idea of what I'm working with. And then I want to go grab some cobblestone. So I'm going to do that and I'll meet you guys back at the farm. Okay, and so we have our conglomerate cobblestone now. And it looks like we're going to need a little more pie. We just blitzed right through our satiation, so that's something to keep an eye on. So every farm, and there's a few ways I guess we can do the farm, and I don't necessarily know if this is the most optimal way, but what I do know is that if you place a water block in the center of a little plot here, you can have a ring of crops go around it. And that ends up being one set of 100% moisture crops, which means I can have a little field that's this big of water, of crops. I can have a little field that's this size. It gives me 8 spaces to plant something. And so we want to go a heck of a lot bigger than this. And I want to leave room for building a windmill. So what I'd like to do, oh, and also of note is that you double these up when you border them with each other. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go out one in every direction and kind of have this 3x3 plot that I'm working with. So it looks like I have a gap of 3, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, and the 4th block. And then if I do 1, 2, 3 in the 4th block, you'll see I have this matching. I'll have these 2 plots side by side here. And so I'm going to do this here until we have a 3x3 plot. And I want to section off this area for the building of our windmill. And then we'll build farmland around that. So I'm going to get this all sectioned off, and I will see you guys in a moment. Oh, I think I did this wrong. The more I look at it, the more I realize this is not going to work the way I want it to work. So let me break all this down, and I think we can figure this out in real time. And that way you guys know what we're doing as well. So let's get this all just broken down. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create this, well, I think it's every 3 blocks I place another one of these cobblestone, right? So you're a block that has soil, you're a block that has soil, you're a water source. There we go, that's more like it. And then you're my barrier. Okay. So if I were to do the same thing on this side, soil, soil, water, barrier. Okay. I do water, barrier, water, barrier. Okay. So now all I have to do is I can just come to the corners here. And this will mark out the edge of this zone. Go here. Okay. Now I'll go here as well. Nice. So hopefully this makes sense. It finally is making some sense to me, but what this is going to do is this is going to give us a tiled 3x3 maximum moisture farmland plot, basically. And what I'd like to do for our farm is I have one of these plots in the middle here that we've just completely outlined. And I'd like to do 3 more of these. 4 more of these, actually. I'd like to do 1 in the front, 1 in each direction, basically. And having each of those be for each of the crop types. So one for K, one for N, one for P, and then one to leave fallow, or to double up if I feel like doubling up on like flax or something like that. Something that we're going to want to be doubling up on. So to get that laid out, I'm going to want these barriers in place, because this is going to mark kind of where the farm ends. So why don't we start with identifying that you're going to go here, followed by a gap of 2, another one of these, followed by a gap of 2 with another one of these. Okay. And now I should just be able to follow. I've got a gap of 2 here, gaps of 2, gaps of 2, set up a gap of 2 here, gap of 2, gap of 2. Yeah, and just like that, we're all done. So I'm going to do this over on, well, on all sides of this pretty much. And I will see you guys when this is all done. Okay, and just like that, we have our farm area all done. There's definitely a bit of work that needs to be done with the landscape. As you can see, we had to cut back into this little hill just a bit, and I've nearly worn through my shovel. So I think next evening, we can do some work on our tools. But where we have such limited daytime, I do want to take advantage of it. And that does beg the question, what do we do with our day? Part of me wants to make a trip up north to our conglomerate mine. But I think it may be more beneficial to try to find some conglomerate that's closer to home. So let's take a look at where we know we have conglomerate, where we know we don't have conglomerate. And the reasoning is that I want to use conglomerate cobblestone to ring the barrier of this farm, and oak fences, of course, oak everything. But I don't have nearly enough cobblestone to actually pull that off. Am I missing a torch? I feel like I am, but I'm not. Yeah, we don't have nearly enough cobblestone to pull that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clean up our inventory a little bit, and I will join back with you guys where we know we have some conglomerate nearby. Oh, actually, before we do anything, let's get this tree cleaned up once and for all. So why don't we grab our shears and go do that. I meant to do that last episode, but I totally spaced on it. So why don't we go and do that with our shears. Okay, and just like that, the tree is gone. But one thing we are left with, unfortunately, is a piece of floating snow. So we'll grab that. Ooh, and it was a walnut tree, and we got some saplings out of that. So that's actually pretty nice. We don't really have any walnut saplings. But if I make my way over here, I have this area marked off as... Are you a meteorite? I guess it's not a meteorite. Let's dig a little deeper. Nope. Looked like it could have been a meteorite. We actually, in reviewing the map, I don't think we've marked off a single meteor. So that's definitely something of note. Anyway, if I make my way over here, I believe, we have the smallest, and I mean smallest, amount of conglomerate stone that has been pulled up to the surface by this hill formation. And I know that the sandstone goes pretty extensively in this direction. So I'm hoping we can start trying to take a bit of a core sample out of the desert we have right over these hills, and that will provide us with a source of conglomerate stone. So let's grab some ladders and go make our way over there. And now that it's light enough, let's certainly take this off of our hotbar. And I suppose clean up my inventory for real this time. In case we do find some stone, we can actually go mine and quarry some. Okay, and the land right by this trader looks like it's about as flat as we're going to get for this little desert. So I think we can make our way down right here. And I'm just going to move it so my ladders are right here. And we're just going to make our way downwards. Nope, not like that. Probably a bit safer. So I'll see you guys when we get to, hopefully, some conglomerate. Oh, I did it again. Oh, that's interesting. We have bauxite down here. Well, bauxite is not what I was expecting to find. Actually, maybe it should have been, since we have bauxite right over here. What's this rock down here? Is that what we're looking for? I don't have a lot of ladders, and we didn't quite hit that. You know what? Let's keep digging and see if we hit the conglomerate. We may as well use our ladders, and then we'll run over there and see if that's conglomerate. If that is, that may be easier than this little quarry we have going here, but oh, it's parrotwhite. Yeah, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go see what we have over to the south of us. After, of course, we eat our last bit of cranberry pie. I'll join up with you guys in a second. Okay, so this is claystone. And we do have some mountains that are showing off the local strata here, so we'll check and see if there's anything that we'd want from here. But at first glance, I'm not really seeing anything crazy. It looks like some more sandstone, claystones, followed by sandstone, followed by, it's not basalt, I see, what is this? Shale and then slate. Gotcha. Some parrotwhite. Okay. So definitively in this area we don't have more conglomerate. That's fine. Then we must have some. I just find it interesting that we'd have a small sliver of conglomerate, probably this way. Let's see, we are out of food, and our food is doing nothing for us. I wonder, let me look. It doesn't say that my hunger rate, why is my hunger rate 110? What gives it the 110? I'm feeling an extra 10%, I just don't know where it's coming from. Extra 9% now. I assume it has to do with our clothes, but I could be wrong. Hello. Hole in the ground. Nice to meet you. Anyway, I'm going to run back to our house because I don't want to waste all of our daylight. I want to make sure we get back while it's still day. So I'll see you guys in a second. You can see our health took a little bit of a beating there, and that's because we unfortunately did lose all of our hunger, so we starved a little bit. I also got a comment about keeping this open versus closed. And one of the things it said is that to get the full bonus out of this room, we need to keep the doors and hatch to it closed, which honestly makes perfect sense to me, so I'm going to try to be a bit more diligent about that. It may be best to move this room, just because I have a feeling that I'm going to leave it open pretty often. I do also want to just head down here by our translocator. I'll hold my lantern, we'll use the offhand. is I want to get a better look at the rock strata right here. And I know we go straight into shale or slate or one of those. Yeah, I want to just look at what's below it. More peridotite, followed by andesite. Followed by... I don't even want to know. No wonder we didn't go back down there. It's scary. Okay. Let's take a look. If we go through the translocator, what do we have for rocks right there? There we go. I had to think about it. So this area is a little peridotite. We should armor up and explore through here a little bit. Or actually, at the very least, I have ladders with me. Why don't I ladder up and see what we're working with here? We have a trader as well that we want to meet, so let me do that, see if maybe there's some conglomerate this way. Oh, would you look at that? I actually did find conglomerate in here. Well, good. That's very easy for us to find a conglomerate mine or quarry. All we gotta do is do a jump through the translocator. Okay, everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. I knew this was gonna happen. Just as I get rid of my temporal storm fort, we get a temporal storm. Because that's how things work in Vintage Story. So, one thing we can do, and it's definitely not very ideal, is I think we're going to spawn-proof our house and just hang out in there. Hopefully we'll be okay. You know, if we die, we'll just go right back in our house. But I think I'm just going to spawn-proof our house and hang out probably in the bedroom. So let's take our sandstone rocks here, and I'm going to get all of this. Wow, that's going to be a pain to spawn-proof. Maybe I'll just spawn-proof. No. I want the main room spawn-proofed at the very least. Just so we don't get any drifters. So I'm going to spawn-proof all of this and just wait out this temporal storm, I think. Just because I don't have a fort for it anymore. I knew we were due for one, too. I knew we were going to be due for one, so I should have kept that fort up a little bit until we had the next storm, but I digress. So, anyways, I'm probably just going to hang out here for a little bit and wait out the storm, and I will see you guys when we are on the other side of that. Okay, and that temporal storm is out of the way. We did not die, but let's see if our house is actually safe, or if we're going to get hit by a drifter. And we'll do a pass down in the basement. And I see no drifters, so we should be in the clear. And what I'd like to do now is, now that we have a source of conglomerate, I want to do some mining. And I thought that I had pickaxes. And for whatever reason, I just don't have any pickaxes on hand. Let's go over here and just confirm that. Sheep are still doing okay. Just make sure I didn't forget anything down here. Yeah, I mean, no pickaxes here, so let's do some smithing, and then I'm going to mine out some conglomerate, and then we can go work on the farm. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Oh man, it's looking like I lost my tongs as well. Well, that's not very good. Let's see if we can go find those. Ah, of course, I dumped them randomly into a chest. Some things never change. Alright, back to the smithing. Okay, so we finally have everything we need. You can see I've put a reed chest on my back. I've grabbed our extra pickaxes. We have a lantern and some torches. And we are going to go through the translocator and mine up some conglomerate. So, the translocator is down here. I suppose we're going to want this lantern. Let's hold it for now. So I will see you guys on the other side. Okay, and here we are. I've just created a shaft that goes all the way to the surface. I've yet to really explore the surface. While it's daytime, why don't we do that? Nothing too crazy. Probably just going to go check out this trader and mark off our shaft. So let's get you here. And if I were the trader, I'm off in this direction. Through the woods. That's terrifying. It's truly terrifying. And what kind of trader are you? You are a furniture trader. Well, that's nice. Yeah, got anything to trade? There we go. Ooh, that's a cool painting. A brass torch holder. Yep. I really like this painting. 9 gears. Probably not worth it, but cool nonetheless. So let's get him marked off. He's going to be probably our place to hang out, interact while we're up here. And you are a furniture trader. I'm going to mark you black, I think, because that's what I'm using as a placeholder, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to head back down our cave, if I can find it again. I think it's right here. Yeah. So I'm going to head back down here and plant this pine cone because I certainly don't want it. And what we're going to do is we are going to quarry. Hey, a resin tree right here. Now, isn't that something? I'm not after resin right now, but it's good to know that it's there. And we are going to quarry and quarry to our heart's content, and I'm going to quarry till I can quarry no more. And then that should hopefully give us enough resources to finish up or put together our farm area back at the base. So I'll see you guys when it's time to work on that. Well, this is a terrible place to do a quarry. We ran right into a massive cave. And that warrants some exploration, if you ask me. But that will be for another time, because we are just trying to get our hands on some sweet, sweet conglomerate stones. So, let's get back to it. So as it turns out, a huge downside of our conglomerate quarry is that the area is just naturally temporally unstable. So it's not actually practical for long-term quarrying. I got about one section quarried out, and that unfortunately was all I was able to do before I had to stop for stability purposes. And I figured I may as well come home because I know it's really stable here. So here we are. And I think now what we can do is we can probably take a look at working on our farm, especially while it is currently daytime. So let's make, I want to make a couple stacks, probably, of cobblestone. I think we'll start with one stack, but we're going to need the second stack. I'm fairly confident in that. So let's head over to where we'd like the farm to be, over here. And I want to dig a border around it. And that border is going to follow the guide of these blocks that we placed here. So let's get this place dug out. And I want you to go back there. And I'm thinking I want to maybe round off the corners of this farm with some additional fields. But that's a project I'm going to save for when it's not winter, because it is a little messy, I think, trying to do this during the winter. I guess messy is a word to describe it. There we go. So I'm going to get this dug out, and I'm going to place cobblestone all on the ground, and I'll see you guys when this is all done. Okay, and so we just barely had enough cobblestone for that, which is good, because I ran out of that stack of clay that I brought with me. So now I think what we can do, and also my shovel died, and it turns out we're out of shovels. I have to do some serious smithing, because I have no more axes, I have no more shovels, and I have 1.5 pickaxes. But I am contemplating the Iron Age here pretty soon. I think that might be a good something for us to look at here in the next few episodes. but I'll probably do at least one more round of tools before we get into that. Now it looks like we're hungry, so let's eat really quick. 2 pieces of pie should do it. What was I going to say? Right, next I need fences. So let's see, I've got 44 wooden oak fences here, and I have unnecessarily large amounts of wooden oak fences for some reason. So let's go get that placed down. And I think we are going to rock the 1 gate for now. And I think we can add other gates in the other directions as needed. But I think for now, I'll just have this 1 gate. So I'm going to get all these fences placed, and I'll check in with you guys when this is all done. Okay, so this is all sectioned off, and you can see on the mini-map, where is, there, here we are on the mini-map, but you can see just how big this farm is on the map, and we have the 4 fields that I'm looking for, and this middle section here, so that is good. So let's, I think we should get this actually placed. I want to get the water down, I think. So let me grab a bucket, and I will see you guys in just a sec. Okay, I have my bucket in hand, and it's calm rift activity. So I'm going to get this all placed out, and I will see you guys when it's all done. Okay, so I've placed all the water down, and you can see I also placed some cobblestone around this middle section here, because this is going to eventually be our windmill area. But for now, we're going to run it as a 5th field, because we won't be able to actually build a windmill until next year at the earliest, just because I don't have anywhere near the resources needed, whether that be building materials or the actual cloth for the sail. But we're going to need quite a few flax harvests for that. And hopefully you guys are able to appreciate the scale of just how much bigger this farm is going to be for us. I think this is going to be able to get us through quite a bit of farming. It's quite a nice size. And we have some extra fields as well. I do actually want to go ahead and get this farm set up, but in order to do that, I'm going to need a shovel. And I'm going to need a hoe, so I'm going to have to do a bit of smithing on that front. But one thing I do want to do as well, before I get to the smithing, is I want to place down some of our path block, because we do have 33 path block, and a staircase, which is good, although I'd rather use a slab than a staircase, but we'll work with the staircase. So I'm just going to get this path block placed down, do a bit of smithing, and I will see you all when it's time to work on the farm. Okay, we have our tools in hand, so now why don't we actually go and work on the farm. You can see I did get this path placed down, and it goes up to about there. And you may have noticed I do have our Terra Preta in my inventory, down a couple pieces of course, because we did unfortunately lose some. But I do want to get a Terra Preta field placed. I think we'll be able to do a little over 1 of these fields with the Terra Preta, so I'm excited about that. So I'm going to work on getting the Terra Preta placed and then hoeing the ground, and I will see you guys when that is all done. Okay, so I have all the Terra Preta down, and it takes about a stack of Terra Preta to do 1 of these. I say about a stack, because it could be a little more, it could be a little less. I wasn't paying that much attention. But regardless, I don't have enough to do another field in Terra Preta, so we're just going to have this 1 initial field be our Terra Preta field, and the rest of these will keep just normal. I just want to make sure everything is medium fertility soil, and I'll be able to tell as I go to till it. So I'm going to get the rest of this all shoveled out and all tilled up, and I'll see you guys when our farm is all done. Okay, so our hoe broke, unfortunately, before we were able to get all of this done, so we're going to have to make another hoe. I'm glad I made a tin bronze hoe. I honestly thought it might be a little overkill, but it turns out it was underkill, and I needed 2 of them. I also made, did not mean to do that. I made the rather unfortunate discovery that I measured here, and everything in this field is out further by 1. So this field is going to have to be redone, which is fine. We are, unfortunately for now, out of time. So that is going to have to do it for this episode. Let's take a moment and just look at what we have done. It's a pretty big farm, and again, I do intend on rounding this out a little bit, but that is something that I think we are going to do either once we have some more tools and resources in the spring, or a combination of both, just because I am going to have to pull the train back. And I don't really want to mess around with the snow, as the snow has not been fun to mess around with. And I don't believe the snow accumulates on the farmland, so that's why I tilled this out now. I could be mistaken, and we may need to till this all again at some point, but I believe I'm correct. So anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of our series as much as I have enjoyed making it. Face the camera, good sir. Thank you very much. I've been Finko11, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.